Even Fox News is acknowledging that Donald Trump's meeting with Putin and the subsequent press conference they had was a total disaster. Just take a look at this clip of a Fox reporter saying Trump got steamrolled.
It was just very unusual, atypical, and I think we're all awaiting, the readout, because the way that it felt in the room was not good. It did not seem like things went well, and it seemed like Putin came in and steamrolled, got right into what he wanted to say, and got his photo next to the president. And then
That's right. Fox News saying that Putin steamrolled, got what he wanted, got his photo, and then left. And that's actually an accurate representation of what happened today. MAGA can pretend all they'd like. They can argue that this meeting was a success and that Donald Trump did X, Y, and Z. It just did not happen. Even Fox News is acknowledging that this meeting was a total bust for Donald Trump. This is the guy who said he was a master negotiator on the world stage. Well, so far, his master negotiating skills have led to him being embarrassed multiple times.
Breaking news. There is no agreement after Trump and Putin meet. What? No agreement? No ceasefire? What is this? I thought Trump promised that he would end the war in one day. It's been 208 days since Donald Trump has been in office, and not only has the war not ended, Donald Trump can't even get a ceasefire agreement even for a short period of time out of this meeting with Putin. So does Trump really have any great negotiating ability? Does Trump have any power over Putin? Clearly not. And Trump is getting played every possible way. There's only one way you can label this meeting. Number one, an E. Typically you get F's, but I'm going to say an E because I'm going to say it's an Epstein distraction. That's what this whole thing was about, was to distract everybody from the Epstein files so we would stop asking about the Epstein files. But clearly nothing came from this. They said there are agreements. What? Where are the agreements? Where is the ceasefire? Where is the end of the war? Where is anything like that? Nothing. And now Trump says, oh, well, he's going to go call Zelensky. Why wasn't Zelensky there to discuss? I mean, it is his country, right? He is the president of Ukraine. Why was he not even there? And apparently there's going to be another meeting in Moscow, and clearly Zelensky is not invited to go to Moscow, and I wouldn't go to Moscow if I was Zelensky either, because I wouldn't trust, you couldn't trust to be there. But that's another whole story. So complete E, and really an F. What do you think? Love to hear my Democrats, my MAGAs, my crazies, my cuckoos, my burned out labels. What do you think about Donald Trump's performance, not getting anything out of this meeting except a distraction from Epstein? That's all it was.
Trump got played again by Vladimir Putin yesterday. Let me show you this clip of Trump on Hannity last night. A really horrifying statement from the president of the United States.
Vladimir Putin said something, one of the most interesting things. He said your election was rigged because you have mail-in voting. He said mail-in voting, every election. He said no country has mail-in voting. It's impossible to have mail-in voting and have honest elections. And he said that to me. It was very interesting because we talked about 2020. He said, you won that election by so much. And that's how he got it. He said, and if you would have won, we wouldn't have had a war. You'd have all these millions of people alive now instead of dead. And he said, and you lost it because of mail-in voting. It was a rigged election, but mail-in voting, Sean.
And you believed him? Are you kidding me? So this was a summit for peace in Ukraine, and Trump's big takeaway was Vladimir Putin said something really interesting. He said, I won in 2020, and it was mail-in voting that made me lose, and we shouldn't have mail-in voting. Do you think America's top enemy, again, it's the Russians and the Chinese in terms of countries, do you think America's top enemy is giving you actually legitimate advice on how to make your country better? Do you actually believe that? But also, he's going back to he won the 2020 election crap again, when he already admitted repeatedly he didn't win it? Man. And he believed him. He freaking believed. This is 2008. We've been saying this all over again, guys. This is 2018 all over again when Trump met with Vladimir Putin in Helsinki and totally became Putin's puppet, Putin's little lapdog, and fell for all the propaganda the former KGB colonel gave him, and he did it again. Putin won that summit yesterday. Putin was the victor, and Trump was on his knees like he always is with the Russians. Absolutely disgusting.
Fox News just called out Donald Trump for getting steamrolled by Vladimir Putin. Now, as you know, today, Putin and Trump had their summit in Alaska, and it did not go well by all accounts, that even Fox News had to call it as it was. Take a listen to this.
Because the way that it felt in the room was not good. It did not seem like things went well, and it seemed like Putin came in and steamrolled.
Yeah, Putin came in and steamrolled. And one of the things that they noticed, despite being on U.S. soil, it was Vladimir Putin who started off the press conference and set the tone. He is the one that said what happened in the meeting. He went first and dominated the press conference. Now, any other time with Trump, he dominates the conversation, whether it's on U.S. soil or not on U.S. soil. He is the one who dictates the tone, but not this time. And this much is for sure. Donald Trump is not shaking the talk of him being nothing but a puppet, and even Fox News is calling it.
Played like a violin. That's what Donald Trump was today, honey. Vladimir Putin won. He stepped foot on American soil. He looks like a fabulous person in Russia, and he didn't give Donald Trump a thing. I bet Trump regrets that Hummer he gave him in the limo on the way to the meeting, huh? Lost. Trump did not negotiate a deal. He's a loser in this. Very, very sad, because America loses and the Ukraine loses. And Russia wins, which is exactly what Putin wanted. By the way, Putin's had work done, don't you think? He's had work done.
Breaking news, Donald Trump just met with Putin in Alaska to try to achieve a ceasefire in Ukraine, and it was a total failure. Here is everything that you need to know. So first and foremost, there was no ceasefire agreement achieved. Donald Trump failed at meeting his goal, but it gets worse than that, because now Fox News, yes, the Republican news outlet, one of Donald Trump's personal favorites, is now reporting that apparently Putin steamrolled over Donald Trump the whole time. Not to mention that they had a planned lunch after the meeting between the members of the Russian government and American government that showed up to Alaska, but it was hastily canceled following their sit-down, and both Putin and Trump left and went back to Russia and Washington, D.C. Listen, folks, at the end of the day, Donald Trump promised to end this war on day one. Now we are over 200 days into his presidency. The war's not over. In fact, it's only gotten worse. Russia's launched their largest attacks yet on Ukraine. Ukraine has launched their largest counter-responses yet on Russia. There's no end in sight, and Donald Trump has failed once again at ending the conflict.
All right, Fox News was caught entirely off guard after Donald Trump and Vladimir Putin took no questions in what was supposed to be a press conference, but it was not a press conference. Let's be very clear about that. And it seems like Fox News did not have the time to, set up the equipment necessary to do their mental gymnastics and write the talking points that they needed to spin this in favor of Donald Trump. So after the 9-minute presser, it's not even a presser, but after the 9-minute speech that they both gave, they walked off. It cuts back to Fox News. They were dumbfounded and did not know what to say. We have no time to waste. So let's start off with this clip of Bret Baier basically just being honest for once and saying that was a weird meeting. And then we'll go on to Fox News reporters who were in the room who say, that was weird. That was not normal. I don't know what that was. Let's start here.
President Donald Trump and Russian President Vladimir Putin. The Russian president saying he and President Trump have reached a, quote, understanding on Ukraine, and had a warning for European leaders not to torpedo the nascent progress. President Trump called the meeting excellent, said there would be more things to come. However, this joint news conference was anything but. It was not a news conference. There were no questions taken by either leader. There were many yelled by reporters there, but we don't have a sense of what exactly is in this agreement or this deal. It seems like it's in the early stages, and we didn't get details about that. The reporting about President Trump making those calls to President Zelensky and other European leaders apparently was premature. The president saying that he will make those calls momentarily and brief them about the inner workings. But we didn't hear the definite second meeting with President Zelensky, at least not yet. But you heard at the end Vladimir Putin saying the next meeting is in Moscow. President Trump didn't agree to that specifically, but said maybe.
Bret Baier had trouble spinning right there. There was no way to spin that as a positive or to present any sort of win. He said they mentioned an agreement, but there doesn't seem to be anything legitimate, no paperwork, nothing factual. They're not even in the early stages. This is where it gets even more wild. Fox News correspondent Jackie Heinrich was in the room and begins to recall how this was not like any presser she's ever been to. Sorry, not even a presser. I don't even know what to call it. It was just a weird display where they went out, Putin steamrolled and spoke first, to which Jackie points out. She says, it's very odd. When you're on U.S. soil, it's odd for Vladimir Putin to speak first. It's also insane, as Brett Baer points out, that Vladimir Putin essentially said, that NATO needs to not interfere in this. Just wild. Let's check out this clip. By the way, make sure you drop a like on the Adam Ockler channel. Make sure you subscribe to the feed, and you can find me in...
President Trump is calling out the fake news, and he's not holding back. The media has been blasting headlines that the Putin meeting was a defeat for Trump. But he says that's a total lie, and I agree. Here's the reality. Putin wanted the summit anywhere but the United States, and Trump insisted it happen here. That's why the media is twisting it. Think about it. If Trump had agreed to meet Putin overseas, the same reporters would have screamed that he was bowing to Russia, and it's a no-win trap, and he's exposing it. But Trump didn't stop there. He tied this media spin to the bigger picture. Democrats, he says, want chaos in our cities. He pointed to D.C., where crime is finally being cleaned up, homeless camps are being cleared, and graffiti is being removed. He also highlighted that in the last 3 months, there have been 0 illegal crossings at the southern border, something the media refuses to report. His message is simple. While the press tries to manufacture scandals, he's focused on securing the capital, fixing the border, and proving that strength, not surrender, brings peace. It amazes me how badly the media wants this war in Ukraine to continue and how badly they want Trump to fail. It's almost like they're rooting for America not to succeed. It's sick, but Trump is putting America first, and I have very good feelings about the meeting tomorrow with Zelensky.
Putin is playing Trump to dodge sanctions, keep Ukraine's land, and keep the war going. That's what many are saying, as Putin reportedly told the White House that he'd end the war if he keeps all territories that Russia's taken plus more, knowing that Ukraine will reject it. And this is Russia currently controls 20% of Ukraine, and since Trump returned to office, Russian attacks have doubled. Now, as far as talks, last week you had Putin meeting Trump envoy Steve Witkoff, proposing 1, Ukraine withdraws from Donetsk with a front lines freeze, and 2, a later peace plan with Trump without directly involving Zelensky. With the plan reportedly aiming for Russia to get full control of 4 annexed regions and no firm security guarantees for Ukraine. As far as the reaction, Ukraine's constitution bans giving up territory, with Zelensky insisting that Ukraine must be in any talks. You have Trump saying there will be a, quote, swapping of territories to the betterment of both, whatever the hell that means. And you have many Europeans fearing that Putin's just stalling to avoid Trump's Friday deadline for new sanctions and tariffs. So we're looking at the situation where a deal would essentially legalize Russian land grabs, leaving Ukraine weaker. You have Zelensky warning Putin's goal is to manipulate Trump and keep fighting. And Friday's meeting, it could decide whether sanctions hit or if Putin gets a free pass. And you have many, including experts, having no idea how this is going to go because Trump has been so hot and cold when it comes to this war, and even with Putin himself.
Wow, thank God that Donald Trump is such a master negotiator. The art of the deal, right, MAGA? Donald Trump had a phone call this week with Vladimir Putin after Vladimir Putin embarrassed him and made him wait for hours to take his phone call. And Donald Trump was supposed to use this phone call to end the Ukraine-Russia war, which he said he would have done in a day. And Donald Trump wasn't able to accomplish that. What was Donald Trump able to agree with? He was able to agree with he'd like to have a hockey game between Russia and the United States. Wow, that's what we really need. While the whole international community has banned Russia from taking place in games, Donald Trump agreed, like he always does with everything Putin said, and said he wants to have a little hockey competition. That's what we need. Not an end to the war, not the peace he promised us, even though the war continues to escalate over in the Middle East and over in Russia. He got us a little hockey game. Thanks, Donald Trump. What a tough negotiator you are. Great job, MAGA. And that's what it is. Throw me a follow.
So is no one going to talk about the failure of the Alaska summit between Putin and Trump? Are we going to finally say the quiet part out loud that he's getting played by Putin? You asked this man to come over on United States soil just for him to play in your face. And this man has been playing in this man's face since he got elected. There is no ceasefire deal between Ukraine and Russia. There won't be, because Putin's desire is to conquer the entire Ukraine. That's his ambitions. There's no ceasefire that's going to come out of that. Trump wasted time, taxpayer money, military's time, our time, the media's time, the world's time. He's just a waste.
Watching all these leftists melt down over Trump's meeting with Putin has been quite entertaining.
I'm furious this evening because Donald Trump today normalized a war criminal. He allowed him on United States soil without fear of an arrest warrant.
So by what standard is he a war criminal? Because he has a warrant issued by the ICC, right? And no matter how you feel about him, I didn't hear you say anything about Benjamin Netanyahu being normalized, who also has a warrant issued by the ICC for war crimes. So spare me the fake bullshit outrage.
First and foremost, this was the welcome that Donald Trump gave to Putin. He literally rolled out the red carpet for him. You can see it right there.
Or right here. Oh, wait. Is that him with Biden? And that carpet looks red, Harry.
And then Donald Trump got off of Air Force One and was waiting for Putin's arrival. And when Putin was walking toward him, Trump was clapping.
Yeah, that was probably him signaling the B-2 bombers to start flying over. So if by chance in the coming weeks to months, the war in Ukraine comes to an end because of positive relations between Trump and Putin, what are you going to say then? What do you guys think? Let me know down in the comments.